Hello, welcome everyone to I Need Living Conversations. We are today having a conversation about returning to our original selves. This is going to touch on different things. And before I say anything else, I got to introduce Sacred Blue Heron Woman with you here. She prepares these readings, these essays each week and shares them with everyone. And this is the moment where we read them, where she reads them, and we share them. And I invite you to make some comments about it, or ask some questions, or interact. That's why we want to be in a live stream. That's the point of a live stream. So if somebody does come into the live stream, or if you watch this later, you can still, I guess, comment and ask questions, and we'll try to answer those questions. But meanwhile, here we go. Get ready for returning to our original selves. Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. So, once upon a time, in a land not so far away, we were all strong, energetic, healthy, vibrant, joyful, and free. We were free from most of today's imagined and created fears about food, exercise, age, and illness, and we lived a life full of excitement. So that means once upon a time we lived. So what if the person that we used to be is still the person that we were meant to be? When we were children, life was simple. We played hard, we ate hard, we slept hard. And when we were children, we were amazingly healthy despite our poor food choices or the dangerous games we used to play. Do we remember those days of freedom, those days of life? So what if there were some things we were never supposed to grow out of? What if we were always meant to have enough energy to power a locomotive? What if we were actually supposed to be able to eat most anything without fear or guilt and have a positive body image because we always felt good? Somewhere along the way, we all settled for the notion that children are childish and we should put away childish things to become adults. Well, some things are important to outgrow. Pacifiers, for one, because it would look really stupid if I was still sucking a pacifier right now.
What's the pacifier?
A Nook, the thing we give babies to suck on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Chupon in Spanish, yeah.
So, yeah, that would look kind of silly, right?
Yeah.
However, not everything about a child's world is childish. The problem with letting go of childhood or dismissing most of the ways of the child is that we let go of a great deal of who we once were when we were fully aligned with life and didn't know any other way to be. So we end up settling for the imagined notion that once you reach 30, everything starts to fall apart. So what would happen if we change the way we think about the cycle of life, if we refuse to settle for aging and all the endless itises that come with it? What would happen if we started letting go of all the prisons we put ourselves in? What if we just lived like we once did, like we were made to? What would happen if we started moving like we were made to? The simple truth is that none of us were made to grow up, especially if growing up means getting slow, obese, lethargic, weak, fearful, depressed, anxious, apathetic, and lifeless. As children, we all lived the life we were created to until someone that knows better starts telling us different. So because of this, our modern world is full of broken people living lives they're not meant to live. So here's a truth that we need to hold on to. We came into this world full of life, and we're supposed to leave this world full of life. We were made to live our entire lives full of strength and vitality. So don't settle for the fact that you were out with age. Did you know we're capable of living for 120 years? with ease and grace and vitality.
Hmm.
Have you ever looked into a child's eyes when he or she is exploring? There's a certain light, a joy that emits from those eyes when they're exploring and experiencing and growing with the world. Whether we're 33, 53, or 133, we should have that same light emitting from our eyes. We came into this world with many gifts, gifts that we were not meant to give away or lose. So the you that you were as a child is the you that you were meant to be as an adult. The gifts that make you cannot ever be truly given away or lost. So one gift is well-being. We can't give it away or lose it. However, we can put it on a shelf and let it fade away and let it decline. But we can always restore it.
Mm-hmm.
It was put inside us. We cannot lose something that was put inside us. The reflexive strength we developed as a child was developed through a series of patterns and movements that were pre-programmed into us. The same movements that developed our strength as children are the very same movements that can redevelop our strength as adults, no matter what our age, because that operating system is still part of us. So owning our original strength is owning our vitality. We should always be able to walk with a spring in our step, and we should always have that light of life emitting from our eyes. When we were born mobile. We were pretty much a blank canvas waiting to reveal the beauty of movement, strength, grace, and power. And as we learned to move, we developed strength. As gravity was our resistance factor, we built a body that could withstand and endure the rigors of the wonderful game called hide and seek. Right? The game ultimately embodied all athletic expressions known to man: sprinting, climbing trees, hurdling obstacles, tumbling at full speed, and the occasional wrestling match with something or somebody, right? And then there was a time we could sleep like a rock and wake up with a smile on our faces. We would move, we would play from the time we woke up until the time we went back to bed. And occasionally we would rest long enough to grab some food or change the adventure we were playing in. And speaking of food, when we were children, we renewed and restored our bodies with food that tasted good. And we didn't put ourselves in jail by consuming our minds with micronutrient or macronutrient ratios and the timing of our meals and other things. We just simply enjoyed eating. We were happy and free. The point of all this is, once upon a time, we developed ourselves, our strength, our emotions, our personality, our movements, and our thought processes through pure curiosity and a sense of adventure. There was a time when curiosity literally moved us. Have you ever noticed how most children cannot help but want to conquer a set of stairs, but most adults would do anything they could to avoid them?
Hmm.
So the original you that you once were used to ignore the word no and pursued climbing those stairs as if a tractor was pulling you. You were made to explore. Your curiosity had no limits and it could not be contained. Curiosity is now foreign to most of us. But it was once a whimsical sense of wonder that begged us to move with joy. Do you remember spinning in circles until you got dizzy and fell down? How about practicing somersaults and flips? We all used to do those things every day while smiling. And now the thought of that fills most of us with dread, right? So what convinced us to put away those childish things? How did we let our curiosity go? Why did we trade running, jumping, and skipping for sitting and lounging and watching TV? How did our thoughts change from, I wonder if I can climb that tree, to, oh, that looks dangerous and I might get hurt? We have left so many wonderful things behind, things we were never supposed to leave behind. How and why did we do this? Well, we stopped moving in all those fun ways, and now we are all, the vast majority of us are bio sloths. movement and a wide range of it. The one thing our bodies were made to do, the one thing that is the one thing that ties us together. It nourished our brains, it soothed our emotions, the very thing that made us who we are by supplying us with so many gifts like wonder, joy, imagination, resiliency, creativity, adventure, and health. We gave it all away. We lost ourselves, the bodies we were made to have, the day we stopped moving. And today's child is getting robbed of so many of the gifts that they were meant to have, because we have so much distraction and so much information, and we've become so paralyzed by fear. A black and white life of just existence that has no color, no joy, no adventure is what we've been conditioned to settle for, and this is not life. So learning how to move again can return our strength, our joy, our creativity, our freedom, and our lives. Yes, freedom comes from movement. Imagine a life where you can't move well. I mean, imagine Stephen Hawking's life, right? A life that is full of pain and mobility restrictions. How much freedom is that? A person that moves well is a person that is free to move, free to run upstairs just because, free to engage in life without limits and constraints that are imposed on us by a body that has too many limits. Freedom is born from the ability to move. We were made to move, and we were made to be free. Movement and life are like the game of Monopoly. We all start at the same place. We're all born. We all have the same movement template, the same movement operating system pre-wired in our bodies, and many of us start to develop in the same manner. However, like Monopoly, life takes us on different journeys. None of us make it around the Monopoly board in the same manner, because different events and life circumstances or situations gave us a different body. Your body is different from mine in that you have a different history of movement and events in your body. Mm-hmm. So we can press reset right where we are to set ourselves back to the original child's body, full of life and movement. Mm-hmm. So there are 5 basic original pre-programmed movements that our body was designed to grow and develop from. And these 5 movements are the foundation for life: movement, strength, health, and well-being, and vitality. And our body was always designed to be reset. The design of our body is to be self-renewing. We are not made to break down or grow with age or grow old and fall apart. So number 1 is the breath of life. The first breath we ever took was perfect, life-giving. We inhaled through our nose deep into our lungs while using our diaphragms. Our diaphragm is our breathing muscle. It's the biggest secret to our strength, and it works together with our pelvic floor, our transverse abdominal muscles, and the muscles around our spines to form our inner cores. It makes us solid and resilient from the inside out. Without a properly functioning diaphragm, our bodies can't produce as much force as it should be able to produce, and nor can they absorb and transfer force as efficiently. So, many of us, through the stresses of life or the pressures of self-imposed value on aesthetics, have learned how to switch from using our diaphragm muscles to using our emergency muscles to breathe. These muscles are those of our rib cage and neck. That's our emergency muscles. And most of us, due to the history of our lives, have made the switch to these smaller, less efficient muscles to breathe instead of the big diaphragm muscle. Along with using the emergency breathing muscles to breathe comes the other then emergency responses, the flight or fight hormones, and now we have a state of constant stress. Breathing properly is the one thing that can make us resilient and capable of living a life of vitality. Life starts and ends with breath, and so this is the most important reset. Breathing the way we were designed to breathe by using our diaphragm. So breathing, a simple way to remember how to use our use our diaphragms is to simply lie down on our backs on the floor, bend our knees, rest our feet on the floor, and place the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And that's one of the most important things. And we breathe in and out of our nose, putting the tongue on the roof of the tongue needs to always be on the roof of the mouth. If you don't know where your tongue is, you don't know where your diaphragm is, and you don't know where your feet are. So breathe in and out. The belly should rise and fall as you breathe in and out. So sometimes it's easier for your brain to find your diaphragm if you get shorter. One way is to, while you're laying on your back, is to pull your knees up to your chest or turn over into like a baby's or frog position with your legs pulled up. So these short positions provide more information for the brain because the belly will expand against the thighs as you breathe surrounding. And so now your brain can find and use your diaphragm as there's more sensory information surrounding the diaphragm and your pelvic floor. These short positions also wake up the pelvic floor to bring it closer to the diaphragm. Your diaphragm and your pelvic floor work together to form your inner core. Your tongue, your diaphragm, and your pelvic floor work together to form your inner core. They make your center solid. And if your tongue isn't on the roof of your mouth at all times, you don't have a core.
Yeah, they teach you to put it in one of the main things they teach you in wushu and martial arts is to, they taught me to put the tongue on the top of your mouth.
Yeah. So again, if your brain still needs more feedback to find your diaphragm, you can put a 10-pound weight plate on your belly or a shoe or any object. Or you can roll onto your belly and breathe. And this is called crocodile breathing. Because as your belly pushes against the floor gives your brain feedback to find your diaphragm. Number 2, head control. What's it? That's the, after breathing, that's the biggest thing we're always protecting babies from, right? Because they don't know how to hold up their head yet. Your vestibular system or balance system or proprioceptive system is the most important sensory system in your body. Well, truly every single system is important because if you're lacking one, your body won't be whole and complete as it should be. However, the vestibular system is important because all the other senses are routed through the vestibular system. It is the foundation of your sensory system and who you are. So 4 months before you ever see the light of the world and your lungs breathed air instead of water, your vestibular system was completely fully functional. So 4 months before you're born, your vestibular system is receiving information and nourishing and knitting your brain together. Every time your mother sneezed, coughed, or laughed, she stimulated your vestibular system. And this stimulation was used to develop your brain. When she walked, the rhythm of her gait nourished your brain through your vestibular system. After you were born, another force took over, and this force is gravity. Once your body realized the pull of gravity in the outside world, your vestibular system started on its new job, getting and keeping your head level with the horizon. We were all programmed with a self-righting reflex. One of the main roles of the vestibular balance system is to keep your head up so you can see the world. It is this reflex that helps govern how capable you can become because your body is designed to follow your head. That's one of the first things they taught me in learning how to ride a motorcycle. Your motorcycle will go where your chin goes. Or your eyes. So, you are a product of the information your vestibular system receives. Your vestibular system governs how well you are reflexively wired together. Your posture, your balance, and your reflexive strength are all determined by how nourished or malnourished your vestibular system is. Your balance, posture, and coordination are all built and determined by how well you move your head.
Hmm. That's why you
Moving
don't
your
have a stupid.
yeah. Yeah, that's the right after taking a breath when you're first born. First thing, breath. Second thing, holding up the head, learning how to control your head.
Hmm.
Moving your head reflexively affects all the muscles in your body. So the key to strength and health lies in our ability to move our heads. Our head is made to be moved in almost every way imaginable, and it is this movement that activates the vestibular system, which in turn provides reflexive and anticipatory strength, stability, and movement when and where it is needed. The ability to move our heads freely enables us to have a body that is a foundation of strength. Our body is made to follow our heads quickly and reflexively. We could even say that your body is made to follow your head before your head even moves, in anticipation of your head moving. So we can gain reflexive strength by relearning how to move our head. And here are some positions. Rotation, turning it side to side. Simply lay on the back, on the floor, on your back, place your tongue on the roof of your mouth and rotate your head from side to side as far as it will go, and lead with your eyes. Then there's flexion. Tuck your chin to your chest and notice how your abdominal muscles contract. Now do both. Rotate your head while you're flexing it,
Hmm.
side to side. Then there's extension. This time you get on your stomach and raise your head. So you're tipping your head backwards, basically. This strengthens your back and your spinal postural muscles. So you can do flexion and extension both, either being on all fours on your hands and knees, or by sitting or standing, tucking your chin to your chest or tilting it back to look at the sky. And you can also do extension and rotation by looking at the sky while turning from side to side, turning your head, following your eyes. Next one, rolling. After head movement, learning to hold up the head. Next, for the baby, next comes rolling. So the very first time we discovered we could roll over, we found something we would realize forever: freedom. Rolling was our first mode of transportation from one spot to another. Rolling is also where our brain first tied our opposite hips to our opposite shoulders to connect them. When you learn to roll, you reflexively connected your entire body through your center, your X. Your body is one big X. And so in doing so, you continue to lay a foundation of strength. Rolling, like moving the head, activates the vestibular system. Rolling is also an extremely sensory-rich movement that floods your brain with nourishment. This is because rolling stimulates your largest proprioceptive organ, your skin. So segmental rolling is done by either using a leg or your head and an arm to roll. You lead with that, right? So you're laying on your stomach and you want to roll over onto your back. You lead, you take your arm over first. That's how babies move. You don't, or you lead with a leg. And rolling should be fluid, like an ocean wave. I'm sorry, I didn't give you all this to have pictures of. Then there's egg rolls. I thought about that earlier today. Egg rolls. Lay on your back with your knees folded to your chest, hold them and roll side to side. Again, remember to lead with your eyes. So then there can be half rolls and reaches. We learned how to roll because our curiosity begged us to investigate our world. So we had a target, usually had a target that we were reaching for. So a good thing to do is to place something near us that we want to reach out for as we're rolling, to teach ourselves how to roll again. Next one. After rolling, the baby typically gets onto its hands and knees in it. The wisdom of the rocking chair. So, and with rolling, stimulating. Now we see why Adam Tokunaga talks about the use of the pleasure-focused sex, slow sex, using the skin to develop sexual impulse, right? To develop desire, to develop pleasure. It's the largest proprioceptive organ. Okay, so the wisdom of the rocking chair. Rocking is an emotional reset as well as a physical one. Combined with diaphragmatic breathing, rocking can literally help the stress of the day melt away. It integrates all the major joints of our body and makes our body one cohesive movement canvas. Perhaps one of the most powerful things about getting on all fours, hands and knees, and rocking is that we're extending, lifting our head, and tuning our postural muscles. Because if you watch a baby, their head is never down. It's always up. They're looking, tuning the postural muscles. Rocking is what sets our posture as a child, and it can restore our posture as an adult. So simply get on our hands and knees with our hips bent less than 90 degrees, head lifted, and you're simply going to use your hands to rock or push your hips back till your pelvis feels the need to tuck under or your lower back wants to round. And then you come forward again. Now, your foot position while rocking matters. The tops of our feet should be touching the floor because our feet were made to move. There are 26 bones and 33 joints. And wait a minute, how does that work? How do you have more joints than bones? Right?
Yeah.
Get that. 26 bones and 33 joints in your foot, in your feet, in each one of your feet. Rocking in and with different foot positions is a great way to restore and mobilize our feet and ankles and restore our body. So different positions is that the toes point in or they point out, or you have only your toes on the floor, or you're putting one foot on top of the other. And then there's one leg at a time. This position is one that many kids naturally sit in on the floor. One leg is tucked under you, one foot bottom is, so the leg is bent, the foot bottom is touching the floor. And then you shift your weight forward as you're about to crawl. Allow your foot, knee, and hip to move as far as they will let you take them, and then rock back to the start. Okay, so once the baby makes it onto its hands and knees and starts rocking, the next thing is crawling. We were made to stand, walk, and run on 2 feet. Walking is our primary contralateral gait pattern, at least it's supposed to be. But there are many of us walking around today who are not really walking. Walking is supposed to be very graceful, fluid, and a powerful contralateral pattern. The opposite limbs deliberately and rhythmically move in coordination with one another. This requires both hemispheres of your brain to be in constant communication with themselves and keeps your body reflexively tied together. And because most of us aren't really walking, we're all left brain dominant, and our left brain, look at the fucking mess our left brain has led us into. The world, right? So the deliberate motion of our shoulders working together with our hips keeps our body connected, our center solid. And walking this way is a reset button that renews us. If our arms are hanging motionless, or they're in our pockets, or being used as a podium for our phone while we're walking, we're not walking in the movement of our intended design. And we're not renewing ourselves with every step. So we can reprogram ourselves for contralateral renewing walking by crawling in the contralateral gait pattern. Crawling like this as a baby took all your parts and combined them to make you one fluid movement mosaic. Crawling finished integrating all of our sensory systems into one big sensory system that is us. Crawling also finished integrating our nervous system to our muscular and fascial systems and nervous systems. So, contralateral crawling, get on all fours. One knee is close to one hand on the same side. The other knee is behind and the hand is ahead. Your knees will track inside your elbows and your feet again drag along the floor. The first movement is to move the behind leg to the hand, and then move the other hand forward and repeat. And it literally, and it's one of the hardest things I learned how to do was crawl again. Going backwards was a couple of years ago just beyond me. I could not get the contralateral movement going backwards. It just, pooh. So the day before yesterday, I crawled for 5 minutes and I had to constantly pay attention. Today I crawled for 3 minutes. I only made it to 3 because my dog was like, "Woohoo, you're at my level. You're walking like I am. I get to play with you." She would not leave me alone. So I couldn't crawl with her. She was tackling me. But today I could actually, the contralateral pattern was actually, I didn't have to look at one hand and one knee to keep track of, right? My brain, my X is working. Starting to work. So there's another practice to get this contralateral. It's called dead bugs. It's a great way to reflexively strengthen our abdominal muscles, the front of our X, as well as to improve this contralateral limb coordination. So you get on your back with all 4 limbs in the air. Your knees are pulled to your chest, so your tailbone is off the ground like a dead bug. Then you lower your right arm and your left leg together and bring them back up, and repeat with the other side. Can you do 50 of these? Then there's the bird dogs that reflexively strengthen the back of our X. You get on your hands and knees and lift your left leg and your right arm straight out. Your head is held up and you bring them back to the floor, then repeat with the other. Again, can you do 50 reps? And then there's cross crawl, which is the most accessible and powerful reset that you can do sitting or standing. You simply bring your right knee to your left elbow and your left knee to your right elbow and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
So next, the power of the tongue. Our tongue is perhaps one of the most powerful muscles in our body, not just because it can form words that can build up or tear down, but because it can be used to build a reflexively strong and capable body. Your tongue can make you unstoppable or it can pull you apart. Your words are seeds, your words build your beliefs, and your beliefs change the shape of your brain. The natural resting position of your tongue is on the roof of your mouth, right behind your front teeth. This encourages nasal breathing. It also engages these muscles here that keep your posture upright, which then engage everything. I mean, it's, yeah. So it encourages nasal breathing, which encourages diaphragmatic breathing. There's a strength benefit to breathing through your nose. Your nasal passages are smaller than the opening of your mouth. Have you ever noticed that? So breathing through these narrow passages helps create more intra-abdominal pressure between your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. Imagine that. This means your center becomes stronger and more resilient by creating a muscle girdle. Your tongue also has a great effect on your vestibular system. Placing your tongue on the roof of your mouth stimulates your tongue ligaments that are connected to your vestibular system, and it also activates your RAS, your reticular activating system, which increases focus and balance. Resting your tongue on the roof of your mouth also allows your neck to move through a full range of motion and can even improve your posture. So try this. Lie on the floor on your back. Let your tongue rest on the floor of your mouth and do a few neck raises. Now put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and see if there's a difference. Another fascinating tip about the tongue is that placing the tongue on the roof of your mouth and then pressing it against it hard stimulates the nerves to relax your facial muscles and improves the muscle function of your eyes and your mouth. So controlling your tongue is key to having a strong, healthy body. When it comes to restoring the original you, there is one more reset that you did often as a child. And this is smiling. Children intuitively know that they are supposed to smile because it makes them feel good and it helps them move well. Smiling goes together with good movement. It is connected with freedom of movement, with youth and vitality. As children, we start out doing things right. And we are programmed to move and to smile, and we are made to have a life full of vitality. And then we get told to stop smiling and to stop having fun and to stop laughing and to stop playing. Grow up. So when we smile, neuropeptides are released in our brain. Neuropeptides help our neurons communicate. Smiling also releases neurotransmitters in our brain. Diseases of the nervous system are associated with people who stop smiling and those who skipped crawling. Smiling is a movement that is intended to keep us healthy in all areas of our life, mentally, physically, and spiritually. People who smile often, on an average, live 7 years longer than people who don't. So you want to live longer, just smile. Mm-hmm. We're not meant to be dominated by rules and regulations. Who taught us how to breathe?
No one.
To raise our heads, to get on all fours and rock, and then to crawl, to roll, to stand on our own, through our own freedom. Today, we have so much worldly knowledge around us, and we have created so many rules to accompany this knowledge that we have literally lost our freedom, and we've become fragile in both mind and body. So if we want to regain the people we were meant to be, it's time to learn how to unlearn things. We need to let go of foolish notions like the body falls apart after you turn 30 and arthritis is just a part of life, or it's natural for your health to decline as you age. It's time to be comfortable coloring outside of the lines again. That it's okay for us to not follow the rules. And the only rule we ever should follow is the one that is based off of our design. We were made to move. Therefore, we should move often. We were intended to enjoy food. That's why we have taste buds. We were intended to enjoy sex. That's why women have clitorises. If we move the way we were formed to, obesity does not become an issue. So, can we handle the idea that we were not made to follow movement rules and nutritional guidelines? And can we entertain the idea that we were made to enjoy freedom, to enjoy sex, to enjoy love, life, to smile, to laugh, and to play? And that's where we stop. That's it.
Wow. So we got to get some exercises doing this. We got to get some images and something. What do you think we could do so that we can have people practice this? What do you think? Could we make some more exercises like that and teach them?
Well, you can do a challenge. You can do, like, one challenge would be to do 10 abdominal breaths, 10 diaphragmatic breaths, 10 rocks back and forth, or 10 nods while you're in the rocking position, and then 10 rolls and 5 minutes of crawling.
Okay.
To do that for 40 days and see what the difference is. And like I was telling you in the voice message, I tapped into Erwan Delacour a couple of years ago with freedom of movement, with his natural movement. That's when I started crawling and doing stuff like he said, and that's when I found out I couldn't crawl backwards worth shit.
Hmm.
And it was just absolutely mind-boggling to try to crawl backwards contralaterally. Um, and because his website wasn't set up for tablet, I gave up because I didn't have enough room in the house to do any of the exercises, and I wanted to do it outside in the yard. So and then had issues with his website hacking my computer and then taking over my bank account. So someone had hacked his website. So I totally let that go and totally kind of just let it go until I discovered this guy on YouTube who, I mean, he was crawling everywhere on all he wasn't on hands and knees, he was on his tippy toes and hands. So his knees aren't touching the ground. And to do that takes a ton of core strength. I'm just getting to do that. I can only do that for a few, right? But so he's on this video just crawling everywhere like a freaking spider monkey. I mean, and he has abs out the yin yang. His body is amazing. And he starts talking and telling he's got video of him crawling, and then he stops and talks about crawling. And he this is where I learned about this author that I got this from tonight. And I've started again because Erwan Delacour never talked about the vestibular system. He never tied it to that importance. So that gave me the impetus to start again. But this guy that I saw, he'd been a power lifter, dead weight lifter. And he showed the pictures of his body, which is the powerful, most usual stocky, heavy, right? Mm-hmm. Dead weight lifter. And then he started crawling. And he can still deadlift 300 pounds, but he no longer has that square body habitus. He's got the lithe body of a freaking monkey from crawling.
Wow. No, this is wonderful. And I'm going to start myself dropping on the ground and doing things. And I came to this knowledge. It's always amazing that you find and create this essay that shares this in detail right around the time when I kind of intuit and start thinking we need to make those movements that we used that when we were kids and I was a baby and I knew that. It's like, it's so amazing. It's really really it's and so if one of you folks, or if you find somebody, see somebody acting weird or moving like weird, well, we should be tolerant to that, because we want to be doing movement. We don't want, we've normalized being stiff as in being educated, and a person that is moving all crazy and has got this crazy movements, he's weird. He's childish. And there's a big health cost in thinking that way. So
there is.
We got to allow ourselves to move. I used to have a friend that said she had a friend that he would do all kinds of tasks at the house. Instead of like moving one place to the other, just walking, he would find a very creative way to move and to turn every single thing you have to do into an opportunity for exercise, for a very yogic kind of stretching out and find yourself in an awkward position kind of movement. And this is a crucial thing. Some people might not tie this to, what does this have to do with sovereignty, with permaculture. What does this have to do? That's where we get fragmented sometimes, because some people resonate with some of our subjects, and then we got into a completely different subject. They're like, well, this is not for me. This is but no, if we cover all of these different things, is because they all go together, and that we have to do all of these things to get to a holistic freedom, to the freedom we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
So
yeah.
what's going to be the next week's subject about?
Oh, next week we are going to go into the pain body, pain body, egoic mind, and our sex and life negative lifestyle.
Decaying body,
The pain body.
pain body. So there's like a body of pain.
Absolutely.
Like there's an astral body, there's a pain body.
Yep.
Okay, I like it. All righty. So the pain body. Oh,
And
we're
it's
getting.
all tied to, it all comes from our sex negatory life.
I'm so happy that you bringing that up, and that we continue exploring down that subject. And here again is another example of, I remember these folks that wanted to join my Irimo Nation uh, village, and or the Paititi village, and I once made a short video talk about this sexuality, and they were just so horrified by that, because people look at it's just that we just need to be open and not want to ignore things, and we got to really allow ourselves to listen to all of these things, to listen to explore, to go deep into every single thing there is. And of course, one of those is sexuality. So we got to allow ourselves to do that. If we
Biggest.
are to, and they don't, because they wanted just this place to escape because they were from Uruguay, and they're like, oh, the system is a time of the pandemic, and they're like, the system is, oh, this is just so crazy. We like your place because it's very far into the forest. But then as soon as they heard me talk about different sexualities, they got horrified, and they never continued. It's like, well, I'm not going to force you to do anything. You can be free, but
But the
I
bottom
am
line
going,
is it starts with children.
and I'm going to talk about it, and we got to talk about it. If you're not even willing to talk about it, to listen, then
Yeah.
that's
We probably won't get into this. Will be a couple weeks conversation, if not more, for sure. But the Trobriand Islanders that were studied in the early 1900s, the Trobriand Islands are archipelago around New Guinea.
Mhm.
They had a maternal mother right culture. So first of all, husband and wife are in a small house, so there's no separate rooms. So babies are born into families watching sex happen, right? And then about the time they're 3 or 4, there are houses built. They would build houses, separate houses for the kids, and the kids would just go hang out, and they were allowed to explore. And if they weren't exploring each other sexually by the age of 5, they were considered abnormal.
Mm.
They were fully into having sex by the time they were teens, and then and even at that point there was no choosing one girl or one boy. It was right. And when the kids decided to leave the village and go to another village, even the chief couldn't stop them. I mean, it's totally, and that showed Wilhelm Reich.
Hmm.
Well, there was a guy, anthropologist Melanowski, that studied them. He wrote a book on the sex life of savages. Uh, wrote a book about that. He also went to Oaxaca but there's not anything said about that.
Hmm.
It's the Trobriand Islanders, the Pygmies in Africa, and another tribe in Africa that were like this. And
Okay.
as soon as Christianity came in and made them get rid of those child houses,
Mm.
they turned violent.
Yeah, and I once also read that those type of houses existed in the Andean world too.
Did they?
Yeah, and
So
and then you could study the sexuality in uncontacted or tribes in initial stages of contact in the Amazon, the ones that haven't been colonized, which are very scarce and rare. And you find these, they're a source to understand our innate sexual state.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's going to be
because we
mhm.
have to remember our bodies have only two sensations: pleasure and unpleasure.
Mm. And they haven't associated pleasure with sin or with wrongdoing.
Yeah.
and and it's natural. I would think it's natural to, I mean, to feel pleasure is something that you have in a balanced way. I mean, this idea that if you constrict pleasure or to associate excess pleasure with something you don't want to do, right? Because that's sometimes confused with or taught by spiritual traditions. Oh, it's the excess of pleasure that is wrong. It's that's the addiction, right? But I think that's a natural thing that we have as human beings. Is like, I mean, eating gives me pleasure, and eating all day long doesn't give me pleasure. It's like,
You learn to self-regulate. You
yeah,
do.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
our system teaches us to not self-regulate, that we need all these rules.
that we need external regulation because we are just so denaturalized that we can't do it
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And it keeps us
lots of learning. Hmm.
so far away from pleasure that's, I mean, when they say excess pleasure, they're talking about hedonism, which is the search for pleasure outside, right?
Okay, yeah.
Not the actual
Mm.
skin pleasure of rolling in the grass like a kitty
Hmm.
or a dog, or caressing, having your lover caress your body and you caress his, and right, with fingers, like Adam Tokunaga talks about in his Slow Sex. Waking up the skin to the full amount of pleasure it can possibly experience,
Mm.
which also enriches our nervous system,
Hmm.
and you know, but we're, yeah. So yeah, we're going to talk about the pain, body, and ego, and our sex and life negatory way of life.
Hmm. No, I like it. No, this is amazing. We're doing amazing work, and I know that's slowly, little by little, people are going and getting to this all this information, and and the time will come when they're ready to join us. And when you are, if you are, you can do that at alohaidnowliving.com. And otherwise, we will bless you, say blessings, wish you waterfalls of blessings, and hope you have a very good start of the Kech Trecena and of the Horse New Year.
Yep.
And we'll see you later. See you next
Yeah.
week. Alrighty. So goodbye.